Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 7 of Birds vs. Boys. This is post week 1 of the NFL. I am here, KMess, as always, the boy, with the one and only Bird, Aidan Powers. How are you, my friend?
Seen better days, but football is back. Might as well get into it.
I mean, Scott or Chris Hansen got to spend the whole day with him on Sunday. It was beautiful.
Yeah, turning on Red Zone. That's the best feeling in the world. When that's 7 hours of commercial-free football, I love it. So there was a lot to talk about.
All right, so we are going to do around the NFL, not around the coronavirus, thank God, today. We're going to do something a little bit different because we have a lot to talk about on the other end. So producer Vince, if you could put the timer on the screen, and we are going to go around the NFL in 60 seconds. We're going to recap everything that happened Thursday to yesterday in 60 seconds.
Every game but our 2 games.
Exactly. Start that clock.
We're ready, Vince.
Buffalo. All right, here we go. The New York but play New Jersey Jets continue to be the least prepared team in the league. They lose 27-17 to Buffalo.
Seattle versus Atlanta. It turns out let Russ cook, probably a good idea. Letting him throw the ball, probably a good idea. Seattle wins 38-25.
Only an idiot would pick Kirk Cousins to beat Aaron Rodgers. The Purple People lose 43-34 to Green Bay.
New England versus Miami. Turns out Cam is still good. Who would have thought, aside from everyone with a brain?
Brady and Tampa are just the old Eagles dream team. They lose 34-23 to New Orleans.
Las Vegas beats Carolina 34-30. John Gruden, in the most John Gruden way possible, gives game balls to every single person.
Minshew Mania is real deal. Get ready, London.
Newsflash, Baltimore is good and Cleveland, once again, is not. 38-6 Ravens.
In the most boring game in NFL history, it ends with a fake kicker injury off of a miss. Joe Burrow does not deserve Cincinnati. They lose 16-13 to the Chargers.
Arizona with one of the upsets of the day. Turns out trading for DeAndre Hopkins was a good idea. Who would have thought? 14 receptions. They win 24-20 over San Francisco.
And picking him in my fantasy team was also a good option.
Also a good idea.
All right, a little bit over a minute, but, there's a lot of games. I feel like that was pretty good for a minute.
Big slate. Yeah, no bye weeks this week, so we had to fit everything into a 60-second time frame because I'm thinking we got a little bit to talk about with our 2 games that we didn't cover in that 60 seconds.
And I think we need some of this.
If you're watching on YouTube, Kevin has a bottle of booze in his hand, and I think it's about that time, and I don't think there's any other way around it. After that performance from both of our teams, there needs to be some alcohol involved in this show.
Hear that? Hear that? Open it up. Bourbon. It's that kind of game. What do you got out there?
I have some type of rum cocktail. We're going to see how it tastes.
Rum cocktail in a can.
Yeah. Probably going to taste like gasoline and lemonade, but I deserve that.
Well, before we start, cheers to nothing.
Cheers to misery. Loves company.
Football is back, unfortunately. I hate sports. Sports are dumb.
Back and better than ever.
Ooh. All right. So before we kick into this, producer Vince is going to pop back on again, and we're going to flip a coin to figure out which misery is going to go first. We have a lot of misery to throw out there. It's going to be a little ridiculous. So we are going to flip the coin. And since Aidan, your Birds lost first, I will let you call it in the air.
All right. Sounds good. I'm a tails never fails, guys. I'm going to go tail.
Oh,
it is heads. All right.
Let's
start with the Sunday night finale.
This is a pen throw. Okay. It's a pen throw kind of. Okay. So the Dallas Cowboys are back. I'm going to start with injuries up front. So they have lost Blake Jarwin for the season. Their starting tight end tore his ACL, non-contact injury. He is done for the year. That leaves them with Dalton Schultz, Blake Bell. It's good?
Yeah.
Go ahead, there's finally a win for you.
Yeah.
There's finally a win. So they're left with Dalton Schultz, second-year man out of Stanford, Blake Bell, who's probably caught 2 passes in his career, and a couple of guys from the practice squad. Dalton Schultz apparently had a great camp. Everybody was excited. Lights started shining. He became the tight end 1. He had 4 targets, 1 catch for 11 yards, and 3 drops. It's a good way to start.
Hey, I'm really sorry to hear about all those injuries you guys had. That must be a real pain in the ass to deal with all those injuries.
Not done yet. I now move on to our middle linebacker and new defensive play caller, Leighton Vander Esch. Of course, he's Sean Lee 2.0. Out. Fractured collarbone. They're saying 6 to 8 weeks. I'm saying his career is over. He is never going to be the player that he was his rookie year. He wasn't that player last year. He wasn't that player in the beginning last night. He's missing tackles. He's diving at people's feet. I mean, he's got severe neck problems. The tests that they were doing on the sideline for him, where they were moving his neck around, I looked it up. It was I forget what it's called, but it was more testing his neck too. So
it looked ugly. It looked not great.
And especially the Cowboys medical staff. You make fun of your medical staff. He's got the big cowboy hat on. He's coming over there and he's just shaking his neck. And I'm like, yeah, this is not good.
That guy is just, he probably believes in Scientology. There is no way that guy is a real doctor. Not a chance.
He's like, yeah, you're fine. We're just going to crack the collarbone back and into place. And we're going to put you football. This is football, guys.
We'll do the football. Yep. Texas style.
So that leaves them now with Joe Thomas replacing Sean Lee. No, not the old offensive lineman. And I'm sorry, Leighton Vander Esch. He basically is Sean Lee. Sean Lee is on the IR, so he'll be coming back in week 3 or 4, only to be out by week 4 or 5. And then they lost Cam Irving, their swing tackle. Dude stinks anyway. He lost his job right before the game started to a undrafted rookie from Texas Tech that started at right tackle. But then apparently the Cowboys came out and said something that they wanted to protect their backup tackle by not playing him and getting him injured. And then he got injured on a field goal protection. I don't understand protecting backups by not playing them.
Yeah, that you're kind
it's
of
like, you know what? I really don't want Dak Prescott to get hurt. So we're just not going to play him.
Yeah. Dalton time, baby.
Okay.
Can I ask you something? Can I
Please.
just be straightforward and just kind of take this to you?
Like,
so I thought that the Cowboys moved the ball really well, and their offense at times looked flawless, but they lose again in a close game. They flashed the graphic. They went 1-6 in one possession games. They come back this year and they lose again. And
1-7 in their last 8
fashion, where it was like, okay, this team looks good. And then you look at the score by the end of the game and they lose. Like, are you in the position where you're like, okay, playing the Rams, I thought in that new stadium they would win just because they have that new stadium energy. And do you chalk it up to that? Or are you pissed that this is like the same story? You're watching the same storyline again. Like, they changed the coach.
Nothing has changed.
Their identity.
Nothing.
The offense got better, and
changed.
It's the same story.
Nothing changed. Okay, it is Mike McCarthy on the. I'm going to go through this. Mike McCarthy was just Jason Garrett fatter and not clapping on the sideline last night. Every time they showed him on the screen, he was just like this. And if you're listening, he just stood there and didn't do anything. I didn't even see the mask moving on his mouth. I don't think he was talking. And Kellen Moore is still there. Obviously, he was the play caller last year. How does a guy like Mike McCarthy, first of all, who is known as an offensive guru, give up play calling to a second-year offensive coordinator who did nothing last year for an 8-8 team?
That is my exact problem. Either clear house or don't. Don't have half of the stragglers from last year where you said, this is unacceptable. This isn't going to work. We're tired of going 8-8. And then you bring back the same offensive coordinator and run the same exact offense. Like, obviously this benefits me, but even watching them, I'm like, this has got to be frustrating. Like, you are watching the same exact movie. Like, you've seen the ending. It's like watching a movie with a dog. You know how it's going to end. Like, I would be so frustrated just watching this every single time. And you watch that game and you're like, wow, this team is so talented. Like, they got CD. They look great with these 3 wide receivers. Zeke is just impossible to tackle. But there's always that but. Like, I don't know, and I can't even explain it. And as someone who follows the team, you could probably explain it better to me, but I don't know how they get rid of that but and just get over this hump.
You know how they get rid of it? Jerry Jones dies. Because I guarantee you the reason they still have Kellen Moore is Jerry Jones. Kellen Moore is Jerry Jones's boy. He brought him in. He wanted him there. Again, do you really think Jason Garrett, who is the offensive coordinator for the Giants now, is known as an offensive guru, wanted Kellen Moore to become the offensive coordinator in his offensive scheme? And then in his last year, which everyone knew it was his last year, if it was my last year, I'm saying I'm going out swinging. I'm calling the plays this year. If I'm going to go down, I'm going down as the head of the ship, and I'm calling the plays, not Kellen Moore. So Kellen Moore got to call the plays last year in Jason Garrett's last year, and now he's calling the plays again for Mike McCarthy. That is Jerry Jones calling the shots.
I wonder if Jerry Jones dying, saying that as a solution, will be in the top 10 most ridiculous things during this podcast, because it is going to be ugly. We know it's going to be ugly. I don't even know if that'll crack the top 10. It's probably true. It seems like every time he has influence in a situation, it backfires. They are such great drafters. Dallas has done a great job drafting. And look, Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, because of injuries, haven't really panned out. But I feel like they've done a really good job drafting. And that's because
they took Taco Charlton in the first round over TJ Watt.
Oh, well, that was pretty bad. 2017 was a forgettable draft for both of our teams. But, like CeeDee Lamb falling to them, that's a great pick.
Trayvon Diggs in the second.
That's great drafting. But who isn't involved in that process? Jerry Jones.
Will McClay and Stephen Jones make those calls.
Exactly. And when he's not involved, good things happen. So you saying Jerry Jones dying is probably a little bit too far, but it's also very true.
But is it?
It's a fair, like, if he has power, you're just going to see the same shit.
I mean, you go back a couple more years and he's drafting Johnny Manziel, not Zach Martin.
Yeah, exactly. They had to talk him out of, and Zach Martin is an all-pro guard.
He's going to go to the Hall of Fame
to get that guard.
And also to the idiot that said the Cowboys should trade Zach Martin for Zach Ertz. No.
That guy ran a team. That was
Mike Tannenbaum. He ran two teams and both teams into the ground.
Yeah, I checked. I knew he was a GM, and then I checked who it was, and it was the Jets and the Bills. And before recently, the Bills were awful as well. They still haven't won a playoff game in 2 decades. So
wasn't he in the Dolphins too organization? I think
he was the Dolphins too. Yeah, so he's made it around the AFC East.
Yeah.
He's probably the reason why the Patriots have had a 2-decade reign in that division.
Bill Belichick's paying him on the side.
Can I say 2 things?
Say away before I start to lose
Cowboys. So I'll cheer you up with one. Aldon Smith looked unreal.
Freak.
You called it on every podcast. You're like, he's looking good. Like, he looks back to normal. They brought it up on Pardon My Take, but Chris Collins was saying that Aldon Smith was drinking in the moment. Probably, if he could go back,
come on,
I wouldn't use that reference.
Like, stop. Yeah, I mean, Aldon.
It was a great.
Aldon was. I mean, he hasn't been in the league in like 17 years, and he had 11 tackles, 6 solo, 2 for the loss, a sack, and 2 QB hits. I'm surprised he could even breathe during the game.
I know. Not playing for 5 years and then coming back and being that dominant. One game back, like, get into mid-season form, and we could be really talking. But here's the thing. For the Cowboys, take it or leave it, but at least they had some positives. Everyone on the Eagles gets an F. But I can look at guys on the Cowboys and be like, hey, they actually played well, and there's that but again, they still lost. So you know how it is. Like, that's my whole thing with the Cowboys is it just week 1, they ran into a good team. And you know what, the motion in the Rams offense, that looked like the team that went to the Super Bowl. Collinsworth kept bringing it up, but their offensive line was pushing people. They were making lanes. The motion in that offense clearly confuses teams. I think that was more the Rams than the Cowboys. I think they were just good on offense.
And I think one of my good friends who's a diehard Cowboys fan, shout out Matt Yost, one of the smartest fans and former players I know, he's been saying for weeks, and I've agreed with him, that McVay was going to have this team humming. He was going to have the Rams ready to go and hit the Cowboys' weaknesses. And it's exactly what they did, especially in the beginning of the game when they went right down the field. They were screening the Cowboys' defense to death. Dink and dunk. Dink and dunk. And that's how you beat over pursuing linebackers and a linebacker that can't change direction in Jalen Smith.
I agree. Giving McVay 5 months to prepare for somebody, that's the result that you get. And I know the running joke is the field looks fast. That turf did look fast as shit.
Very fast.
That is the fastest, best offensive 2017 game I've ever seen.
That was the fastest I've seen Zeke since he was a rookie.
I know. Well, I'll tell you what. The tattoo is
I don't even want to talk about it. And the spoons too. It's got 2 spoons on the sides of it.
That is just a horrible tattoo.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much.
And he also, this was overshadowed by the enormous tattoo on his stomach that says "Feed me," which hopefully he never is arrested and goes to jail because he may be in trouble. Or other
maybe. Yeah, a lot. Well, not if they're as big as Aaron Donald, they can throw him across the field like he did.
But he has added to his nose rings. So now he has the front one like this,
the bull,
2 nostrils, and then the 2 on the side. So he increased his nose rings and then has a giant tattoo
that says "Feed me with spoons."
Feed me with spoons. This is my favorite. This is my favorite stomach tattoo since the Boner Garage and We're the Millers.
No regrets.
No regrets. Not even a single letter.
So
that was my takeaway for the night.
I think I'm gonna start to unload now, if that's okay. I'm gonna start getting my anger out, and I might yell a little bit.
Well, before you do that, I do appreciate you getting to 15 minutes in this podcast without bitching about the Jalen Ramsey sell job at the end of the game. So kudos to you for making it 15 minutes without bringing that up, and go ahead and unleash.
And I will say to that, any Cowboys fans that say that is the reason they lost the game, you're an idiot. You are an absolute idiot.
Especially because you mauled Jared Goff across the head. That was like assault and battery in real life.
And that was on an interception.
Yeah, exactly. So
that was the first interception since I think George Bush the first was president that the Cowboys have gotten. I don't know if you saw that, but when Chido Awuzie had the ball, he was like, I don't know what to do. I have the ball.
I know.
He ran like 27 yards backwards because he didn't know what to do with the ball.
Keep it flowing. You're in rhythm now. Let it all out.
All right. I'm going to break down the defense, and then I'm going to go to the offense.
Go for it.
I've been saying this.
I'm going to egg you on.
I've been saying this for how many weeks that I was scared absolute shitless of this idiot named Dorian Thompson, whatever the hell his name is, starting as the safety for the Dallas Cowboys. How bad must HaHa Clinton Dix be right now if he lost out to Dorian Thompson, who was I could have done what he did last night. Did you see when he got his head shoved into the ground on the goal line? It was like a child, and his dad just pushed him away and said, no, that toy is your sister's. And he just shoved his head into the ground. Okay. Xavier Woods, I love you, but I didn't even know he was on the field last night. This cannot be the starting safety tandem for the Dallas Cowboys the rest of this season. Make the call, Jerry. Okay, it's after week 1. Contracts are not guaranteed. Call Earl and say, Earl, come to the Star now and come play for us. Now, like I said, if he's in a 3-way with his best friend's wife, with his brother, they can cut him. That's fine. Nothing's guaranteed. Go get Earl Thomas.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you guys have the Falcons this week. The Falcons are back to being the Falcons, which is also hilarious. Talking about seeing the same old song and dance.
They're going to put up 700 passing yards this week.
I was about to say, they threw for close to 500 yards, and Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones look like a problem.
They're going to treat Anthony Brown like he is me playing corner. Okay. The one bright spot, I thought Trayvon Diggs did look pretty good last night as a rookie. He gave up 2 kind of long passes. One almost went for a touchdown, but both were contested. I think he was probably the best corner that last night. But moving to the defensive line, which we have said, and I have said that I was very excited for. Horrendous. Outside of Aldon Smith, like we said. They got 1 sack. Now, again, kudos to Sean McVay. They were getting the ball out fast. They were dinking. They were dunking. They weren't letting the Cowboys defensive line do what the Cowboys defensive line should do and get after the quarterback. But they also weren't blitzing a lot. But every time they did, Jared Goff would just throw to a point because that's what Jared Goff does. Jared Goff is not a good quarterback. He is a scheme quarterback. Without Sean McVay, Jared Goff would be horrendous. You get a little pressure on him, you rattle him, he's just throwing to where he was supposed to throw the ball, even if no one's there. I am officially in clown territory for DeMarcus Lawrence. He is a clown. I don't want to hear you talking in the offseason anymore. Call me Tank. I'm going to make up for my name, and I'm going to earn being a Tank. You got one tackle last night. One. You know how many more he had than me? One. Okay? You are Tank Lawrence. You just got paid. You're supposed to be the leader of the defense. Again, I didn't even know 90 was on the field last night. Okay? Awful. I don't want to hear the words hot boys ever again. Barry, I've said it weeks ago. Be done with it. Okay? The hot boys are dead. They're done. The boys to men is still around. Hot boys is not. Done. Dead. Deader than Jerry Jones.
Well,
don't want it anymore. Dontari Poe came in here, right? Supposed to clog up the middle, be the big guy that we haven't had forever. 3 tackles. And Everson Griffin, right? Brought him in. Great signing. But yet, Cowboys decided to play him inside at defensive tackle all game. 3 tackles. 2 offsides.
And the yards per rush for Malcolm Brown. Like I said, the Rams were just they were doing whatever they wanted in the running game. Can I go back to DeMarcus Lawrence for a second? Because I might have figured out. I wrote this down.
Clown Lawrence? Might be the issue. We're going to call him Clown Lawrence from now on.
Clown Lawrence. I'm sorry. Clown Lawrence will be our new nickname. You can use that. I'll call him. He's definitely not Tank. But I brought up the word "but" before, where it's like, okay, you lost, you look good, but you still came up short. There's always that "but" you came up short. Attention to detail with this team is just non-existent.
Out there.
And the perfect example, the first play of the game, the very first play. There's no fans. Jared Goff does 1 hard count for a team that talks at the line a lot. So you've had to know that all week. DeMarcus Lawrence with the most obvious offsides of all time. And they're in 1st and 5 to start the game. It's just like, and they did it 4 or 5 times. Like, the attention to detail just isn't there. And I don't know how you change it. You already switched coaching staffs. So who is the issue now where it's another season and you're doing the same stupid minor things that end up costing you in the long run, where you have all this talent, but you can't figure out the simple stuff. And that's what's costing you games.
Attention to detail reminds me of something that I saw last night during the game. And I don't know if you caught this, but I sure as hell did. Did you see when they panned up to new Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator Mike Nolan when he was in the box?
Yes and no. Which time? I think they did it a few times. Sorry, I was refilling my drink.
What does a defensive coordinator usually look like when they're in the box, right? They're sitting at a table, correct?
Yeah.
They got their headset on. They're kind of leaned over. They're looking at their plays, right?
Yeah,
Mike Nolan.
View.
Yeah, Mike Nolan was just in a chair like this with his feet up. His feet were up. He had one just laminated sheet in his hand, and he was just, it looked like he was at the movie theaters watching the previews, waiting for a fucking Marvel movie to start. Not coaching a fucking professional defense that was playing in the first game of the season.
People are gonna have to watch on YouTube because you were slouched like you're on the beach in fucking Ocean City, New Jersey, or somewhere.
It's what he was doing.
Yeah,
I don't understand it. Like, if you're the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys,
yeah,
and your team is getting gashed, and you just we're good. I'm just gonna put my feet up.
It's an optics thing, and I'm going to get into that with the Eagles, the optics and some of the things that they do, where how it all spirals. But that's a perfect example. Your defensive coordinator is slouching in the box, and then your defensive line has 5 offsides penalties. What is it going to take? Because this team, like I said, it is so talented, and you look at it on paper and you say, wow, that is a double-digit win team. Then they get out there in week 1. It is the same thing you saw from an 8-8 team just a year ago, where it's like they lost by 3 and it felt like the Rams scored 40. I don't know what it's going to take, but and you know what? This could be an overreaction because it is week 1 with a new coaching staff. It takes a while to get these things going. But that can't, it's got to be concerning to just be in the same exact position as the end of the season.
Now, I am going to say I'm sorry to Vince and I'm sorry to Eddie. This podcast is not going 30 or 40 minutes. This is going to be an hour-long podcast.
Shit. We didn't even get to the Eagles, and we are going until this microphone catches on fire.
That's fine. I got a few more points. One more about the defense, and I'm going to hit the offense and what I want them to do, and then we'll move on to the Birds. So, I will say, the defense played horrible, but they only gave up 20. Now, I think they got bailed out on a couple Rams offensive penalties that got them off the field. They got bailed out by the missed field goal that almost took that thing hit the upright like it was no other.
Yeah, he killed that thing.
Oh my God. But I mean, they couldn't get off the field. The Rams were 9 for 17 on third down. They literally were doing almost everything and anything that they wanted to do. But the offense. It's a public service announcement to all of you idiotic national talking heads, okay? Skip! And Colin Cowherd and all you people that say you have to talk about every team, but it seems that all you talk about is the Cowboys, but you do 8 seconds of research. Colin Cowherd didn't watch that game last night. He said today that the Dallas Cowboys, a lot of excuses, which is fine. That's true. This team has way too high of expectations for the actual team that they are. I've been saying that they're going to go 8-8, 9-7, max 10-6. Not winning the Super Bowl. They'll be lucky if they win this division. The only way they will is because this division is trash. But he keeps saying, and so do the other pundits, keep saying that the Cowboys have a top 3 offensive line. This is not 2016 anymore. Do a little bit of research, okay? They have Zach Martin, probably top 2 or 3 guard in the league. Awesome. They have Tyron Smith, who's going to be hurt by week 6. He's still great, but he's old. Lyle Collins is on IR, okay? Can't come back until week 4, even though Jerry Jones doesn't understand how IR is. And when he was interviewed this morning, they said, yeah, Lyle will be back week 2 or week 3. They said, Jerry, IR doesn't work that way. He's on IR. He can't be back until after 3 games. Again, Jerry. And then they had Joe Looney starting at center. Connor Williams is not a man. He's a boy. And then they had a undrafted rookie from Texas Tech, Steele, starting at right tackle, who was he held up pretty damn well. But he gave up the huge sack in the fourth quarter to Leonard Floyd, which who knew Leonard Floyd was even on the Rams? Completely forgot. So stop, please, for the love of God, stop saying the Dallas Cowboys have one of the best offensive lines in the league, because they don't anymore. Sip, and then we're going.
Okay. I'll fill in the meantime while you take a sip. It does feel like one of those things, and it's kind of the same with the Eagles as well. Name value versus actual production and statistics at this point are not equaling. But go ahead, carry on. You've taken your sip, but I want you to keep rolling. Keep riffing.
3 for 12 on third down.
Bad. 25%. Pretty much the difference in the game is that the Rams it's seemingly they converted out every third down and the Cowboys weren't able to. They
were 9 for 17 and the Cowboys were 3 for 12 on third down. This is supposed to be team 40 burger, right? That's why they drafted CD. They were going to put up points, 40, 50 every game. Their team 17 burger just doesn't sound good. Okay. It's slider. It's team 17 sliders. Okay. I don't want a slider. All right. After I eat a slider, I'm still hungry. I need more than 17 points. A team with this much offensive production needs more. And this goes back to coaching as well. If you lose Blake Jarwin, right, in the early on, and you have Dalton Schultz, okay, who sucks. He can't block, can't catch, can't do anything. Don't play with tight ends. Give me Zeke and Pollard on the field at the same time. Pollard was a running back and a receiver in college. You go those 3 wide receivers and then Zeke and Pollard on the field at the same time, you have juice. You take Dalton Schultz, and it seemed like every big opportunity and third down, Dak was looking at Schultz. Like, why?
Yeah, good point.
I don't. That's like you guys on every third or fourth down. He's looking at Arcega-Whiteside. You blow your brains out. I'm not putting this game on Dak. I thought Dak looked pretty good last night. He was efficient. He made a couple good throws, especially the first catch ever for CeeDee Lamb. That throw to Gallup at the end was a damn good throw. But you want to be a $40 million man? Go win the game. Make plays that are going to win a game where you're down 20-17. You have the ball. Go win the game.
That's what that is my whole issue with him. The day of reckoning is coming where you're going to say, is this guy good enough to win a Super Bowl? Should we pay him? Or should we take 2 steps forward or 2 steps back to go 1 step forward, where you almost have to restart the process because you realize, okay, maybe he's just not good enough. He's good. It's a similar situation to the Vikings. Like, Kirk Cousins is good, even though he gets made fun of all the time, but is he good enough? I don't know. And is it worth it to have someone who's good, but not good enough? And once again, here we are. And like I said, it's week 1. This could totally change. They could blow the Falcons out by 35 next week and it changes, but it's still the same issue I have with him is he looked pretty good, and then they needed 1 more score to win or tie the game and didn't have it in them. So it's like, is this the guy? Is he elite enough? Is he worth $40 million? Or should you restart this whole thing and try to figure out a way to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields?
I don't want to say yes, we need to do that, but I need to see more. You need to win the close games, especially if you want to get paid and you think you're elite. Now, talking about elite and talking about money, our $100 million number 1 receiver, 10 catches for 81 yards. I swear to God that Amari Cooper just smokes an ounce before a game, because there is no emotion, there is no juice. He just catches the ball, curls, goes down. He's running a crossing pattern. He gets hit in the leg, and it doesn't even look like he knows the ball hit him. He wasn't even looking. He turns. He has the first down, and Jalen Ramsey makes him his bitch. Like, dude, give me a little bit of juice. Like, there's just nothing. He's in his own world. Apparently he's really smart. He likes to read. He plays chess. That's great. But when you cross those lines, you need to become a fucking savage.
Yeah, it does seem like he's just really mellow, and it's like, okay, where's the fire coming from on this offense?
There is none.
Yeah.
At least CeeDee Lamb seems like he's a savage. He's a dog. But CeeDee, put the 2 phones away. I don't want to see you with 2 phones. I got 2 phones. We don't need 2 phones on the field during warm-up. Focus on warm-ups, okay? Why do you need 2 phones? Tell me, Aidan, right now, tell me 1 reason you need 2 cell phones on the field during warm-ups.
1 for your 1 girlfriend and 1 for your other girlfriend.
Okay, so that's a good luck. Okay. But why do they need to reach you during warm-up?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, maybe he has multiple fantasy teams. A lot of us do. So he had to make sure he was in the lineup, and both took 2 phones. I don't know. All right. Maybe he has sponsorships, Verizon and AT&T, so they both.
He wants to get both. All right, I'm going way too long on the Cowboys. I'm going to do 2 more things. One's a question for you. I already went off on Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore. Just Mike, give me some fucking emotion on the sideline. I want my coach to get yelled at by the NFL for not having his mask on because he's pulling it off like Sean McVay because he's emotional. I don't want you to sit there and just be the Michelin Man puppet boy just standing there all game. Go, coach. Okay, now the 4th and 3, down 17-20. Your thoughts? Good call to go for it.
I like it. I don't really have any problem with it. You got to set a tone and try to just don't try to be like last year. Last year, they would not have gone for it. And this year they did. And look, the play call was there. It was a great play by the Rams, and CD Lamb, it's his first year in his first game. And in 2 years, he will know where the sticks are, and that won't happen. And you just got caught in a bad position. I didn't hate that at all.
For 9 years, Cowboys fans have been asking for a coach that has the balls to go for it in that position, because Jason Garrett would have kicked the field goal, would have tied the game, and then the defense would have lost it. We have a coach now who had the balls to go for it. The play was there. 1, Dak's got to put the ball a little bit further out for CD. 2, CD, you need to run at the sticks. It's a rookie mistake. 3, the safety made a hell of a play, but Dalton Schultz, again, who sucks, didn't make the block on the safety. It should have worked. I liked the play call, and I'm not going to kill McCarthy for it because, like I said, everybody has been asking for that. So you can't be calling for that kind of play for 9 years, and then the play happens the next year with a new coach. It just didn't work, and why didn't you kick the field goal? Because last year you would have killed Jason Garrett for kicking the field goal.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the first time they looked like a different team right there. And like I said, he was a rookie playing his first game. That's just inexperience. It wasn't a bad play call. It was a great play by the defense, and it was just a kid who didn't know what he was doing and has never had any experience before and didn't have a preseason at all.
I'm more upset that they ran the ball on 3rd and 6 the play before.
Yeah, I don't like that, and I get it in theory.
The box was light.
You run on 3rd down to set up 4th down. It's 2020. Throw the fucking football.
Thank you.
You know, you invested $100 million in Amari Cooper. You have Michael Gallup, who's underrated, and you just spent a 1st-round draft pick on a wide receiver. If you have that type of advantage, just throw the football. You have a quarterback who you are paying with the franchise tag $33.5 million. If he can't get you 6 yards on 2 attempts, cut your losses and try again.
Andy
Dalton. That's just unacceptable. I don't like setting it up with a run. That worked in 2006. It is 2020. This is how football is. It is a glorified 7-on-7. Throw the ball.
Evolve.
Exactly.
All right. These are my asks for the Cowboys, and then we are on to the Birds. So prepare yourself. Take a sip.
All
1,
right.
call Earl Thomas right now. The Darian Thompson project is done. It's dead. It died with his head being shoved into the goal line as the Rams crossed the goal line into the end zone. 2, call Snacks Harrison. He's still a free agent. Can you believe that? Yes. Snacks Harrison is still a free agent. He lives 20 minutes from the Cowboys training facility. He apparently has been training his ass off and wants to play. We need some more beef and a run stopper in the middle of that damn defense, especially now that Van Der Esch is gone. The middle of this defense is absolutely horrendous. Bring Snacks Harrison in. Got to do something with tight end. Lure Delaney Walker off his brand new boat. Call Charles Clay. Try and trade for David Njoku. Do something, because Dalton Schultz and Blake Bell and 2 dudes from the practice squad, again, are not gonna work. Or just stop playing with tight ends and give me Pollard and Zeke on the field. Linebacker, I don't know what we do. I guess you wait for Sean Lee and you pray.
That it?
Be the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
That's better. Anything else? Any other Cowboys?
I hate my life. Sports suck. My wife woke up this morning. Okay, I'll leave this here. My wife fell asleep last night. Everybody knows she's an Eagles fan. She was miserable. She went to sleep. She watched the first half of the Cowboys game with me, then she went to sleep. I came upstairs, snuck in bed, tried to be quiet, put my earbuds in, listened to the post game of the Cowboys until about 1 a.m. It's fine. She woke up this morning. I was asleep. She rolled over and looked at me and nudged me. And she goes, Cowboys lost, huh? I go, why'd you check your phone? How do you know? She goes, no, I can literally see it on your sleeping face that they lost. That's how miserable you look right now. So that's what you do to me, Cowboys. You make me sleep miserable. Now, can I live in some happiness of your misery now, please?
Yeah, you can. Hold on. Let me show for the people watching on YouTube. These are I have a full page of notes that I took immediately after the game. So I will try to keep it as condensed as possible. But I am obviously, as everyone is, pretty fired up with one of
podcast, and I can't
most embarrassing losses of this franchise. Just what a day. What a day. We are really lucky that you lost. Very lucky, especially because we lost the division game. So would you like me to get into it?
Well, and that too with the Cowboys. How do you watch your division rival lose like that, and they lost, and then you go and do what you did on Sunday night?
Golden opportunity to get a leg up in the race. Totally squandered. Thanks for bailing us out a little bit.
Oh, God.
But I'll tell you what. Here, I'll get into it straight away. It does not matter what the Cowboys do to me. Their record does not matter if we don't figure it out. Because there is so much to figure out. And let's start. You start with the injuries, so I'm going to start with the injuries. And we may need a whole hour just to go over the Eagles injuries. And I am sick of it. I'm sick of the injury excuse. But for them to run out, and you looked out on the third quarter, the whole thing going in, like everyone was so confident in the game because Washington was an untalented team that is trying to rebuild, and they are terrible. That is a bad team. But if you looked out there in that third quarter, there was not a big talent gap between these two teams. For them to be down, Hargrave, Barnett, Curry left, and then Graham left. Curry is going to be gone. He's going to be put on IR. So is Craig James. And then on the offensive line, you lose Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson, Jack Driscoll, who's a rookie starting in his first game ever. And then he has to go out. You're playing a rugby player at the opposite tackle position of what he's learning. And you throw him into the game in the third quarter against that pass rush. Oh, and by the way, you were down to one running back and Corey Clement, which was your third running back, because Miles Sanders, who was day-to-day a month ago, couldn't play. And Lane Johnson, also day-to-day a month ago. He had surgery. He's not day-to-day. If a doctor sticks a knife in your leg, you're not day-to-day. That's just not how it works.
Doesn't work that way.
They're blatantly lying about the injuries, or they're idiotic and they're underestimating the recovery time, or they're messing up the recovery time because they're not healing these guys properly. I am so sick of it. And Deshaun on the sideline, he's hobbled. He played 47 snaps, said he wasn't injured, but they showed him on TV trying to stretch out. We cannot have another season where it's not, okay, it's not, okay, we have this many good players available. It is, okay, we have this many players available. It is to the point of malpractice. And here's the perfect example. That defensive line, Josh Sweat hurt his knee in high school. He can never play a full game. And they know that. He cannot give you a full snap count. He's great, but he just can't. He cannot do it on that knee.
Yep.
Jannard Avery just came back from a knee injury, fresh off of it. Like literally was back in practice Wednesday. Those guys had to play almost the entirety of the second half after Graham and Curry got hurt. Like you were at the point you were messing with the health of these guys, not just it's not week to week. It's not day to day. You are messing with the health of this team long term for these players, for their lives, because you can't figure out conditioning and therapy and just basic medical diagnosis of injuries. It is ridiculous to the way that the last season ended to be in this position again, week one game into the season, and still have the same bullshit injury problem. It is unreal.
We are living, both of us, on Groundhog's Day.
Yeah. That's what literally, I literally, that's why I brought it up when we were talking about the Cowboys, because I was thinking to myself, watching the Cowboys season or Cowboys game, nothing has changed.
Nothing.
We went through an entire fucking pandemic. The entire world has changed.
Yes.
And these two teams are still doing the same exact dumb stuff. It's the same, the Eagles, you could say week to week, they could win if so-and-so their success is predicated on the injury report that week. And then you look at the Cowboys and it's like, oh, wow, they look really talented. They should win this game. And then they lose by
every year. Yep.
Lose by a field goal. Every single week. We went through it. Like I said, a whole pandemic, the entire world has shifted, and we're right back where we started. It is square one. It is the exact same.
And now you are 5-point favorites at home to play the Rams this week.
I'm pretty this is what
there we go.
This is what is so frustrating. If the guys who should be playing are healthy enough to play, I am confident. But once again, I'll let you know. We record later this week. I'll let you know how I'm feeling then, because I have to see the injury report first. Because who knows who's going to suit up? It could be Lane Johnson at right tackle, or it could be Jack Driscoll, who's a rookie making his second start. It could be fucking Jordan Mailata, who played rugby in Australia. I don't know. And he's playing next to Nate Herbig, who shouldn't be playing guard, but Brandon Brooks is out. Then they put Jason Peters there, but then Jason Peters has to shift because Andre Dillard got hurt. And he's making his first start ever. So, like, what do you want them to do?
It's literally musical chairs. It's like when you watch the little kids, they're just wherever, when the music stops, that's where you're going to play this week.
That's where that might as well be practice. Just go to the Novacare complex, set up 5 chairs. Jason Kelsey, you're going to play guard this week because that's what chair you fell in. It is unbelievable. And people are like, oh, well, like, I can't believe that, like, what was wrong? Like, why would they lose to such a bad team? This is the combination. One, that was the worst coach game that Doug Peterson has had as the Eagles coach. Now, the only excuse I can make for him is that musical chair situation right there. What do you want him to do creativity-wise with the game plan when you're running Corey Clement behind fucking Nate Herbig and Jordan Mailata, who's playing for Jack Driscoll, who's a rookie? So you are at the end of the road. They didn't have any other players available at certain positions. I don't know how you could be down on the offensive defensive line. And literally, it's not who is talented. It's just who can play. And just to be in that situation, they've got John Hightower played horrible. Reagor was pretty good. He's fast as shit. But he also didn't play well. Like Doug, that was such a bad game plan. And the one thing why I'm still mad, even injuries aside, why I'm still mad at him. My friends were texting before the game, and I said the game plan shouldn't change at all, because here's the report. They said it was confirmed that Lane last night was going to play, got there today and couldn't play. So it kind of threw everything off of the plan, threw everything helter-skelter before they even took the field. The game plan shouldn't have changed without him out. This should have been quick hitter out of Wentz's hands. Nothing changed with the defensive line. We knew who they were coming in. We knew that ferocious pass rush.
Exactly what Sean McVay and the Rams did to the Cowboys, what the Eagles should have done to Washington all game long.
Play to your strengths. Sean McVay did a great job yesterday playing the strengths, quick hitters. They got Robert Woods in space. Why did we draft Jalen Reagor? All I've heard, all camp, from all the podcasts, all the media members that I follow, they say the Eagles' goal is to get Reagor in space and line him up at different positions.
Just get him the ball.
He can he's dynamic enough and so fast he can make one man miss in a 10-yard rush, or 10-yard reception is turned into 75 yards in a hurry. And part of that is, like I said, you kind of have to throw out creativity with a game plan and again, no Alshon Jeffrey. So you got JJ Arcega-Whiteside out there, 0 receptions, 0 targets. It is right back to where we were with him. Looks like a waste of a draft pick. But going back to the game plan. It should have been a 7-on-7, quick hitters, like we said, getting your guys in space, like Reagor in space. And I get in theory what they were trying to do, where they're trying to hit these home runs with their speed with Deshaun and Jalen Reagor. That works if you're at full capacity.
Exactly.
You didn't have the full amount of time. You knew Wentz did not have the amount of time to make those throws happen. Like you were getting him killed, and you knew you weren't going to have time. In theory, that would work against their defensive packages. They're not strong at safety. They're not strong at cornerback. And you know who their corner is? Because what's his name? Kendall Fuller didn't play. So look who's at corner.
Darby.
Ronald Darby.
Who he
was in camp every single week. You know exactly what he does. You know exactly what teams did to you for 3 years. It was slant. Then he'd bite on it because he was always late. And then you do a double move over the top, and they just never. People talked about in-game adjustments. How is that not your game plan to start the game? You had this guy for 3 years. You know what his deficiencies are, and you didn't play to it at all. You didn't play to any of your strengths. You played to their strength. They had one strength. This team could not get a positive headline all year if it offered to do a private calendar shoot for it, and you still let them come out and win. Unbelievable. Like how everything spiraled out of control in that second quarter going into the second half. And we talk about adjustments, but I didn't even really like the game plan to start. It was the worst game I have ever seen Doug Peterson coach as an Eagles coach. Horrible.
It kind of reminds me too of the Cowboys game last night, because just like you're saying with creativity, everybody in the Cowboys fan base is saying, well, why they only took 2 deep shots? Why didn't they take more deep shots? Because you had Steele at right tackle with Aaron Donald on him. If you drop Dak back 15 times for a deep ball, he's going to die.
Yeah. Football is very like everything. It's like a sequence of events. Everything is connected. In basketball, you can get away with your deficiencies. Like when you have Giannis, you know what? You don't always necessarily need to play to your strengths, because him just breaking down his defender one-on-one is a strength. And you can do that. You can't do that in football. You can't go deep if your offensive line sucks, because you're not going to have the time to go deep. If your receiver sucks, it doesn't matter if your offensive line is good, because you don't have anybody to throw to. So I think they got way too and I think they'll adjust. If they don't, they are screwed. But they were like, okay, we're fast now. Let's take some shots.
Yep.
But you gotta adjust. Like, you knew what their strength. They had one strength. You knew it going in, and it got worse as the game went, because the offensive line got worse as the game went, just personnel wise and just morale wise. Like, they were clearly getting eaten alive, and they just never changed. And I just don't get that part. I don't get that part at all.
I feel like every time the Eagles and play, Ryan Kerrigan comes up with just one play where he just loves to just wreck Eagles. I mean, that fumble recovery was just a backbreaker.
Yes. Yeah. He is he's an Eagles killer for sure. He's really good though. He's really underrated. And they have done a great job. They have built that front seven. I like when teams build pass rushers. Who's the most important player in the NFL? It's always the quarterback. So what do? You start investing in the position that's going to get after the quarterback. Really smart thing to do. They're building it the right way.
You protect the quarterback and you get after the quarterback. And that's how you win games.
And that's my other thing. Like, if Wentz is going to be your $100 million investment, how did we end up in a position with this offensive line? You cannot, after what he's been through with injuries, the draft capital you gave up for him, and then the contract you handed him, and then you come out week 1 and Nate fucking Herbig is standing in front of him because you took a backup quarterback who couldn't even start on his own fucking college team in the second round. You knew the offensive line was aging. You knew the defensive line was aging. You didn't address either of those, but hey, at least we're a quarterback factory. Can't wait to see Nate Sudfeld and healthy scratch Jalen Hurts later this year, because Wentz gets murdered by like Aaron Donald next week because you've got Nate Herbig standing in front of him. Unbelievable.
I saw Walsh, shout out Branded Sports, Walshy there saying, he goes, you know what? We gotta put Sudfeld in week 2. He's gotta be the guinea pig and just take one for the team against Aaron Donald. We're just gonna throw him in there. If he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies.
We're on to week 3.
We gave Nate Sudfeld $1.2 million, not $138 million.
Exactly.
That's where that is. But let's get into Wentz, because this is going to be the roughest part for me, because that was bad. And I don't know what they can do. He just won't get rid of the ball. He just won't do it. Every time. Like, I don't know. This is year 5. This is year 5, and you've torn your ACL. You've got a concussion. You broke your back. I presented this because I thought about it. And for every Eagles fan listening, I want you to think about it. When was the last time you saw Carson Wentz just throw the ball away? Just think, if you're listening right now, not even as a joke, just try to think the last time you saw him just give up on a play, throw it out of bounds, and not intentional grounding, just throw it away.
Move on to the next play.
Because racking my brain yesterday, I could not think of the last time he just gave up on a play, threw it at somebody's feet when the screen wasn't there, or threw it out of the back of the end zone because no one's there, or really anything. Just get out of the pocket and throw it away.
Do you think that's overconfidence in himself? Do you think that's fear of not making a play? I mean, he's made so many spectacular plays. That old one, I think it was against the where he was just swallowed up, and then all of a sudden he was out. Do you think he just in his head feels like, oh, sorry, Washington, they were the then. Do you think he just feels like he can make every play?
I think that's part of his DNA, where he's just got this gunslinger not only mentality, but he does have the ability. We've seen countless times where he makes something out of nothing, and he's never grown past that because he's always been so good at it. But this team doesn't need that. They don't need you to play Superman every time.
They need you to be on the field.
They need you to be on the field. And he dives head first. Like, he doesn't slide. He doesn't know how to slide. He dives head first. He extends plays for too long. Just get rid of the ball. Perfect example. That field goal. It was third down. He takes a 13-yard sack, and I don't even think that sack's on the offensive line. He's just holding the ball. Sometimes a single is okay. It doesn't have to be a home run every at bat. It's okay. Check the ball down. Throw the ball away. And I don't like this is they had Frank Reich, they had John DiFilippo, who were coaching them up in the year that they went to the Super Bowl. They're both gone. They've had Doug there the entire time. So those are 3 different quarterbacks who he's worked with. They brought in Press Taylor, who works with him now. Mike Groh was the offensive coordinator last year. Like, how much there's been this many people in the organization. I know those guys have said that. And if they haven't, everyone should be fired. But I know they are telling him in the film room, Carson, get rid of the ball. Like, you just can't take that sack. That is a sack that a kid takes his fresh. You know who would take that sack? Jalen Reagor's quarterback at TCU, the true freshman last year, who was only playing because another freshman was hurt. That is the type of person who takes that sack. For you to be in year 5 and be in these positions where you're getting yourself killed, and I know part of it's not you. Like, that I'm talking directly to you, Carson, as if you're listening to me. Please listen to me. Redhead to redhead. I'm just making sure you survive because I want to watch you for 10 more years. And you know who throws the ball away the most? Tom Brady, Drew Brees. They're in their 40s playing each other yesterday in game of the week. Carson's not going to make it to 42. The way he plays, you got to change. It has to happen. And I don't know who's going to be the voice to tell him, but someone's got to do it. And he clearly just isn't listening to anybody because we just go through this. You got to throw the ball away and go for it. Well, let me add it onto that sack. My biggest thing, everybody on the Eagles yesterday got an F. I brought it up earlier. So Wentz takes that sack. It's a 52-yard field goal, and everyone's on Wentz, which is deservedly so. A 52-yard field goal. It was 78 degrees sunny, no wind on the first week of the year. You're not going to get better conditions than that. Jake Elliott leaves a 3-yard short. What the fuck are we doing? Every single person gets an F yesterday. Every single one. I'd love to wring the neck of the water boy yesterday because there were people cramping up. Even the
water was warm. The water was warm.
The water, yeah. Jack Driscoll had to come out of the game with cramps. Deshaun Jackson had to come out of the game with cramps. Everybody gets an F. Down to the training staff. If you handed out a water cup yesterday, F.
You're out.
I got certain people coming up who got an F minus. No one got higher than an F. It was horrible.
You may not like this, and I may get buried for this, but you talking about how Carson holds onto the ball, takes unnecessary sacks, doesn't throw it away, thinks he can make every single play. Carson is starting to really remind me of a more talented Tony Romo. And what happened to Tony Romo? Yes, Tony thought he could make every play. Tony, how many times earlier in his career did the ball get snapped over his head? He picked it up. What did he do? Did he throw it away? No, he ran for 45 yards. And he sometimes he made those plays. So then in Tony's head, when he had Jessica Simpson up with her pink jersey on cheering for him, he thought he could make every single play. And what happened? His back broke in half.
I was about to say, how'd that end? Back injury. Career over.
He is a more talented Tony Romo.
I feel like Ben Roethlisberger is probably a better comp, but skinnier, obviously. No offense to Big Ben. We're not fat shaming, but I think it's just body type wise. Yeah, man. That hit a single. And especially when Sanders gets back. You got Sanders and Scott out of the backfield who their specialty is they can make guys miss.
Yep.
Even if it's a one-on-one, just take your chance. Take your chance. Bet on your guy. I guarantee you, Boston Scott, as shifty as he is, he'll make a guy miss. And part of going back to that, he also played everybody gets an F. Boston Scott, horrible game. F. And it's the injury thing again. You got Boston Scott out there. How often do you think Wentz, Scott, Herbig, Jack Driscoll, Kelsey, Sayamalo, and Peters played together at those positions this camp to get ready for blitz protection? There were so many times where they didn't know where to go. Boston Scott would take the same guy as Driscoll took. Now there's a free rusher at Wentz. We saw it time and time again where it's like, I mean, even when Wentz is hanging on the ball too long at some points was 2 seconds. It was just bad. It was bad. But when that is what this position that you put yourself in, because you don't have anybody healthy, that's what happens. You have this makeshift kind of free for all. These guys met Tuesday. Now they're playing together on Sunday. And that's what happens. The Redskins did a great job up front, disguising coverage, bringing blitzes. The Eagles weren't ready. They couldn't communicate because they have never communicated together. And the running backs did a terrible job helping the offensive line, and it got Wentz killed.
And I will remind you, last episode, Vince, pull the tape. I set the over-under of Wentz sacks at 4, and you went under.
I thought I said 4.
I think I set it at 4, and I think you went under.
I thought you said 4.5, and I said 4.
Okay. Oh, well, either way, it was doubled.
I was about to say, yeah. Well, it was 8. So, but that's my other, like, I have so many.
Go off, King.
But it's like, you could have still survived 8 sacks. And I said that last week. I said they have one strength. They have one strength, and you know they're going to play to. Like, we don't have an offensive line, and they have a great pass rusher. This is bound to be a disaster. Even on the drive where we scored, Wentz got sacked 3 times, and they got bailed out by a 55-yard bomb to Rager, which set up the touchdown. Yep. Even on that drive, I was getting nervous because it looked bad. So
I'll tell you what, that first drive of the game, I almost threw up in my mouth because I was like, "Oh no! This here we go. This is who the Eagles are going to be."
It looked good. It looked fresh.
Scared the hell out of me.
Out of Wentz's hands, like it was. Those are the plays that are scripted.
Yep.
So they were ready to go, and it got worse as the game went because the plays weren't scripted and everything became helter skelter. Because you're like, okay, what can we run with this personnel on the field who have never played together before?
Nothing. That's what you can run.
Yeah, and that was the problem. And the other thing, what I was going to get into with the sacks is that you could have survived that. You could have survived 8 sacks. The problem was they never made Dwayne Haskins go 75 yards to score. He never once had to go the length of the field. If you're an Eagles fan, think back right now. They scored 27 points, and all their points came on the plus side of the 50. They just you put the defense in terrible positions where they had to put out a fire every single time, whether it was Wentz interceptions or going for it. And I thought Doug Peterson going for it on 4th and 3 on the first time that he went for it was one of his worst calls as a coach. And what was his worst game as a coach? It was Jordan Mailata's 3rd snap of football ever. Not this year.
Ever.
Not in the NFL. Ever. And you're clearly helter-skelter on offense. You don't like these guys have never played together on the offensive line. It's his 3rd snap. It's 4th down. Usually this goes back to it. He coached this game as if they were at full personnel, and they weren't. Just punt the ball and make you have a great punter. He was booming punts when he had to punt. Make them go 90 yards. Dwayne Haskins did not prove not one time that he could do it.
He's not a good quarterback.
He's not a good quarterback. And you look at his stat line, he had less than 200 yards passing, and his completion percentage is around 50%. In most worlds, that is a terrible stat line, and you will not last long in the NFL. But when you get the ball at the 46, you're plus 46 every single time, guess what? Then it's not so hard. And even then, they had to go 13 plays for 46 yards and had to go for it on a 4th down. But when you put your defense in that position, especially a defense without an offensive line left, it's bound. You're setting them up for failure. Just trust your defense. There's a difference between being aggressive and being a fucking idiot.
And he doesn't know the difference.
He didn't know the difference yesterday. That was my biggest thing. He gets an F-. Like I said, there's a bunch of guys who get F-. And I'm tired of the injury thing. I'll get into my F- for people who were there. But like the injury thing, I'm so tired of it. Next Man Up, that's like for Disney Channel movies.
I'm so sick of it.
This isn't Next Man Up. If you can't field a team, fire the medical. I know they overturned the medical staff. Fire them again. Fire the strength and conditioning coach. And if your coaches can't get these guys ready to play, you got to fire them too. You're just putting these guys at risk. Not only on your stupid day-to-day system, which is really like their bone could be sticking out of their leg. You're affecting their lives at this point.
Day-to-day is after you've had surgery. Like people that have vasectomies, they say are day to day, but they still sit on the couch watching college basketball with ice on their balls for a week. Like
Yeah.
and they just had a vasectomy.
And the most frustrating part about that is the way they just this PR nightmare that they create for themselves, where they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna sit Sanders and it's precautionary during not for the game, for practice.
Mm-hmm.
They say he's day to day, it's precautionary. We want him to be healthy for the season. Then the season comes, and Adam Schefter tweets, they're being safe with him. It's precautionary, just so he doesn't hurt his hamstring more for the long run. The fucking precautionary part was 3 weeks ago when he was day to day, and now the season's here. You depend on this guy, and he can't play. So when was he day to day? And when he was day to day, was he really month to month? How bad was his hamstring hurt? Did you lie about how bad the hamstring was hurt? Or did you just not know how bad the hamstring is hurt because your medical staff is not doing their job? I don't know. I don't know if Doug just gets up there and lies about the injuries on purpose, and the staff just undersells like how injured these guys are. But the trust in this city with this team and how they handle this stuff has never been lower. It is so bad.
I'm going to tell you, I am so over and done with and just exhausted from press conferences with coaches. I don't care if it's Doug Peterson. I was watching Mike McCarthy before. It's pointless to watch these goddamn things. They don't answer questions. Yeah, they're not, they're not telling the truth.
No.
I get sucked in every time. I'm like, oh, I get an alert from the Dallas Cowboys on Twitter. Press conference. And I'm like, ooh, put the headphones in and I listen. 10 minutes in, I'm like, why the fuck am I listening to this?
I think the same thing, not to keep politics out of football. I think the same thing. Like, I think that about like politicians and football coaches are pretty much hand in hand.
They are.
They tell you all these things that they're going to do, and we're going to play hard and we'll have the guys ready. I don't care. I want to see it.
Yes.
Like, it's the same thing with politicians. Oh, this is my agenda. We're going to do it if you elect me. I don't care.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just get the law passed. I don't care. I'm so tired of hearing it. I'm with you. I'm so tired of these press conferences. And Doug, like, oh man, this is like I said, he is one of the F minuses. This is the lowest he has been in Philadelphia.
No ice cream.
They hired him, and people were like, "Why did we hire this guy?" And then he turned out to be great, but he was bad. That was
no
bad.
Ice cream for anyone.
No ice cream this week.
I'm so mad that we can't even like. I was so looking forward to the Cowboys winning tonight, and I could just come at last night and just come at you and make fun of you, and we could just go at it. It's just I don't know if this is more fun or less fun for listeners, but like we can't even fight.
I think it's got to be more fun. I know it's supposed to be a debate show, but I feel like people resonate with this type of pain. You know,
everyone's sulking.
Every comedian behind most of their jokes is some painful truth. That's kind of where we're at with this. And I was at that point yesterday during the game. Like, you ever been so infuriated that you're not even mad anymore?
No. Oh, I was watching. I was laughing last night, and in the first half, I was like, "Why are you laughing?" I'm like, "Because I'm the pain is just I don't know, because I'm so used to this and nothing's changed, and I've seen this exact game 114 times in my life that now it's just comical."
Yep.
I've seen it through Dave Campo, Wade Phillips, Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy, and it's been the same thing, just different players.
When Milana came in the game, I was like you. I literally started laughing. I was laughing. I was like, this is as low as you can get. Like, there, as far as the injuries go, this might be the lowest point, which is really saying something.
This is like the part in Forgetting Sarah Marshall where he's like, I'm going to give you a name. PPOP. He's like, PPOP, looks like there's some pain behind those eyes. That's exactly how I feel right now.
Great movie. Great reference. Yes. It looks like there's some pain behind those eyes. But yeah, so I was, like I said, I was so mad that I was beyond mad. I was exhausted. Yep. You could feel that tide turn in the third quarter. It was like their momentum was punching me in the face. Like, I felt like a boxer in round 11.
Just
the way that they were attacking our offensive line, I felt exhausted watching
that. George Foreman leaning on you for 11 rounds.
Yep. It wasn't like knockouts to the head. It felt like rib shots.
Yep.
You
Taking your air.
You're taking it in the ribs. You got bruised ribs. I just felt exhausted. And like I said, I was laughing. It wasn't even anger. It was so far past anger to the point when we like ran out of offensive linemen. And I feel like everyone in Philadelphia can resonate with this. It was over. You could tell in the third quarter it was over. It was like, to use another fighting reference, remember that McGregor-Mayweather fight where McGregor came out and it was his first fight, so he had a lot of juice.
Yep.
And it got in the later rounds, and all of a sudden he started to get gassed, and Mayweather took over. That's what it felt like. Like the gas was gone. It was over, and everyone who was watching knew it was over. And that's when I was just exhausted. There was one point, if we want to do my last F- of the day. I actually have two. They're kind of together.
Okay.
There was one point where I was screaming at my television. I apologize to my neighbors because you definitely heard that. Can you guess? I'll let you guess before I give my F-. Aside from
when you were screaming?
Well, yeah, that point and who gets the F- because they're tied in together, and it was in the second half. It was as the game was teetering out of control.
Did Carson get the F-?
I love Carson too much to ever give him an F-. He did get an F. Everybody got one F, but he can still pass the class.
Ertz?
That is correct.
Even with the touchdown?
I'm about to rip this guy a new one, and I feel bad because he's done a lot for the city, but I don't remember being that mad at an Eagle player in a long time, which is really saying something because I've seen some shitty Eagles players.
Julie Ertz's husband is about to get it.
Husband. I said it earlier. That was the worst game I've seen Doug coach. That was Zach Ertz's worst game. And I know he scored a touchdown on the first drive. Here's why I'm so upset with him. And this goes back to the optics we talked about with the Cowboys. He throws this temper tantrum in the media. Oh, well, I want to come back, but they don't want me back. And then there's the report out there. He got into an altercation with the GM, Howie Roseman, on the sideline during practice.
Yep.
Then he comes out in the game. He has 3 receptions for 18 yards. His body language was terrible. Awful. He was moping all over the field. And then to cap it all off, the cherry on top of the shit sandwich, he drops the ball on 4th down, which pretty much effectively ended the game.
Yep.
It could not have gone worse for somebody who's in the situation. Please give me another contract. Here's what I got to tell you, Zach Ertz. This is how the NFL works. The NFL thrives off capitalism, just like every other billion-dollar business in the world. So guess what? You know why there's not Nike factories in America? Because they'd have to pay somebody $15. And guess what? They can go to Indonesia and find some kid to do it for 5 cents. That's how capitalism works. Guess what, pal? The Eagles found someone who can do your job just as effectively for half the money. That is how business works. Welcome to the real world. This is how it fucking works. So you can bitch and you can moan about your stupid little contract, but you put up 3 receptions and you have your replacement gives 101 yards for half the cost. Welcome to life. This is how it is. It's not a fairy tale land. This isn't Madden. This is the real life. This must be the first contract negotiation you ever had. But guess what? This is capitalism. This is how billion-dollar businesses thrive.
You want the money? Go make the money.
Go out in the open market and come back and we'll match your deal. How about that? Yep. If I were Howie Roseman, I'd say, fuck you, man. Go find another deal. And if you have one that you like, we'll match it. Like how they do in the NBA. They're like, if you get an offer sheet, we'll match your offer sheet. Because guess what? He's coming back the same. He will not get that deal. He will not get that deal. Like I said, it is the same way in every business in America. Every business in America. The shoes are not made here because someone does it for 5 fucking cents in some third world country for a bowl of rice. And they'd have to pay somebody $15 to do the same goddamn job here. So guess what? Dallas Goedert is on a rookie contract and he's putting up 101 yards. And guess what? You're not going to want 101 yards or $101 million. You're going to want Austin Hooper money. Guess what? You're not fucking getting it. So grow up.
And if I'm Howie Roseman, I'm saying, you know what? I have your Indonesian rice taker right here who's getting 101 yards a game. Exactly. Goodbye. Go play in Jacksonville. Go play in Miami. Go play for the Jets.
That's exactly
what Go make your money there and don't fucking come back and cry to me because you're winning 3 ball games a year.
Yep.
And you're not playing in a football city like Philadelphia.
That's exactly what I would say. We have a salary cap for a reason. Go get overpaid by some shit team that'll go 4-12, like how the Dolphins overpaid everybody this year. They put up 11 points this week. They overpaid Jordan Howard, who was on this team. We gave Jordan Howard $1 million. The Dolphins gave him $5 million. What did it get you? 11 points, and they lost to the skeleton of the Patriots roster from last year, who wasn't even a good roster to begin with. Like, if you want to act this way, fine. If you want to pout like a 9-year-old at a T-ball game because he has to play outfield instead of shortstop where everyone wants to play, fine.
Go play for the fucking Bengals.
I'm so sick of it, though. Like, if you're going to piss, you're just going to be piss and moan the whole way down the field because Carson missed you one time, so you got tears in your eyes like a fucking 9-year-old. That's fine.
You trade him at the trade deadline if there's an offer you like?
No, because they won't even get a good deal. Because this is capitalism, and this is how it works. And they know that he wants a new contract. So you know what the 31 other GMs are going to say? Well, we don't know if we can pay him, and we don't want to take that risk. So we're not going to give you what his actual value is. We'll give you maybe a 3rd-round pick. He might be a 1st-round talent, but if we only have him for a year and a half, and then he walks out the door, what good is that for us?
Just go talk to Cowboys Twitter because they're ready to give a 1st right now for him.
Well, luckily they don't run the show. Luckily for them,
Thank
Jerry
God.
Jones doesn't either, technically.
There's no absolute chance I would give up a 1st-round pick for him right now, knowing the money that he wants, because he would either be costing the Cowboys. Yeah, there you go.
Think about guys who got 1st-round picks and think about their age. Jalen Ramsey, right?
Mari Cooper.
Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, here, perfect example. DeAndre Hopkins got a 2nd-round pick. He was worth a 2nd-round
And David Johnson.
For David Johnson and a 2nd-round pick. It is like, here's a perfect example for you too. Just the business of the NFL. And back to the capitalism thing. Think about the Steelers. Think about where they're at. They're on Monday Night Football this week and they're playing. Le'Veon Bell was like, pay me more money. And the Steelers were like, go fuck yourself. See ya. And they got James Conner. He fucking beat cancer, went to Pitt, got killed on the Pitt's offensive line, showed up to Steelers camp and was their best running back. And they told Le'Veon Bell, take a hike. Bye. Antonio Brown wanted a new contract. What have you heard from him since? Unless you're subscribed to Tiana Trump's OnlyFans, you haven't heard from that fucking guy in years.
And now Le'Veon Bell got paid by the Jets and his own coach fucking hates him.
And then his coach hates him and literally said to the media, I wish we didn't do that deal. That was a dumb decision by our front office.
And yesterday he was trying to come off hurt, and Adam Gase was like, "Nope, stay in. You're good. Run the ball." He's like, "My hands fall off," and he's like, "Stay in the game."
This newsflash, Zach: there's always someone who will do your job for less money. There always will be, and that's just the bottom line. And
Julie Ertz deserves that money before Zach Ertz.
Yep. There was a lot of new faces just because of injuries, and the guys who had been name stays, the leadership they showed was so piss poor. I mean, we talked about Ertz, Deshaun Jackson coming out and saying, well, I wasn't hurt. Well, you're on the sideline stretching out, and after the interception, you needed help up. Like you were laying on the ground like you got hit by a car. So what are we supposed to think? And then same thing with him, shaking his head. Head is down, pouting. You guys are in your 30s. You're not a 10-year-old playing T-ball anymore. How is this possible? Like, how are you acting like this? Fletcher Cox, you hear from Fletcher Cox at all? Nope. These were the positions where the guys who had been here for a while needed to step up because they had so many people who weren't used to playing or making their first starts for some god-awful reason, and a lot of rookies too. And you didn't help them out at all by the way you acted and the way you played. Everything about it, from the talent level on that team to the attitude of that team to the strategy that they employed, everything was piss poor.
I feel like that championship mentality that they had a couple of years ago, like, how has it washed away so quickly? How have those vets that won the Super Bowl, how does a guy like Cox not take control of that game, even not on the field, but on the sideline yesterday? How does he not grab Ertz by the helmet or grab Deshaun by the helmet and say, what the fuck are you doing right now?
Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to be that guy who just gets in their ear. Like
are they missing Malcolm Jenkins that much?
I don't think so, because you know what? The defense didn't play that poorly, and I thought McLeod and Darius Slay played great games. And even Jalen Mills, who's good for about 6 penalties a game, looked like he settled in at safety.
Mm-hmm.
So on that back half where he was, I didn't think they missed him too much. Leadership wise, though, like you shouldn't need him when you have Fletcher, Brandon Graham, like all these guys have been mainstays. Zach Ertz,
Even
Carson.
Vinny Curry. I know he got hurt, but he's been there forever.
And just think about it. Like you think about the Super Bowl run and where the Magic's gone. Think about the headlines this offseason. Deshaun Jackson needed a Hitler is bad camp training in 2020. How that's possible, I don't know. Zach's mad about his contract. Jason Peters holds the team hostage. These are supposed to be your leaders, and they couldn't give you a positive headline.
And then Deshaun comes out, I think, a week ago and says the biggest thing he learned from his anti-Hitler training is to watch what he says. But yet then right after the game yesterday, he tweets out a whole thing about how he wasn't hurt and that he's fine. You didn't learn to just shut up.
I know. This team, I like Doug Peterson as a coach. It's a good thing that he's a player's coach, and it's a good thing that everybody likes him. But they need someone who's just going to tell these guys, shut the fuck up. Stop tweeting. Stop saying stupid shit in your press conferences.
Preach.
Just say the stupid stuff like, oh, we got to be better. Like all the stuff we talked about.
Be the Patriots.
Yeah, be the Patriots. Stop complaining. I'm so tired of the Hitler thing, like how we're still at this point where the message has not gotten through. This team got younger and on purpose to avoid injuries. That hasn't happened. And there's no leaders there guiding the way for these kids. It has got to be better immediately. Week 2, this has got to be a totally different team in terms of talent and in terms of just overall morale. Because what we saw was a team that didn't look like they wanted to be there together. And that is way more alarming than whoever was out there at offensive line.
Agreed. And coming back to the Cowboys, it's the same goddamn thing. Like Clown Lawrence, shut up and just play.
Just shut up and play. And
put your 2 phones away.
I know. I don't want to be shut up and dribble guy. Like you guys can do it.
Yes.
You can do whatever you want. But when you need to think about the optics in your head before you do it.
This has nothing to do with it's not shut up and dribble. It's not you shouldn't stand up for social justice or speak your mind. Just when it comes to I'm Tank Lawrence. Call me Tank. No. Shut up and prove it. Just do it.
It's the same thing with Paul George on the Clippers. Like you can't name yourself Playoff Pete. You can't be Tank Lawrence. Like you got to earn it. Like you just got to go on the field and play. And I think that's what's missing. And my only thing with the Eagles where it could be a silver lining is that went so badly that I think regroup and just get back on the field. One win just completely erases what was a total disaster. Like if you beat a Rams team coming off a great win over the Cowboys, that'll really change the morale in the locker room, which clearly needs to be changed. So that's the one silver lining. It was so bad that you can recover from. It wasn't a gut-wrenching loss. It was just a disaster, which is a little bit easier to recover from if you win the next week.
And at least you got you got all day to recover, where I was done at midnight and then can't sleep till 2.
Oh, losing that Sunday night game is the worst because your heart is racing, especially when you're in a close game like you guys were. So your heart's racing, so you can't go to sleep right afterwards. And
then you get the offensive PI. It was like a mini Dez caught it all over again because it was just a bomb and he caught him like, get up. And there's a flag.
I thought that it was quite the sell job. So, but like I said, you know what? You also got it. You shouldn't have had that interception. So,
yep. All right, can we do a practice together here? We're going to take a deep breath in. We are on to week 2. We've aired our grievances. This was like Seinfeld. I have a lot of problems with all you people, and now you're going to hear about it.
This is the airing of the grievances. I'm sorry. I got carried away. Sorry.
An hour and 25 minutes in.
And sorry, Vince, for going so long.
We promise that these shows are going to be 30 to 45 minutes, and we promise going forward they will be. This was a different kind of show that just the grievances needed to be aired. That's exactly what it's going to be called in the podcast, the airing of the grievances. But now we're moving on.
And if you didn't listen last week, we switched to the format for football season where there's going to be 2 episodes a week. So we'll be back with another one dropping on Thursday, previewing week 2. That one will be more of the normal structure where it's going to be 30 to 40 minutes. We're going to break down what's going on in week 2, more of around the NFL for our other teams, and then looking at our games coming up with 2 big games, obviously at 0-1. It's just not every week where you got the perfect storm, the perfect shit storm of the Eagles losing to a team who couldn't even do something as simple as figuring out a name, and the Cowboys
or a hashtag
Sunday Night Football or a hashtag, and then the Cowboys lose on Sunday Night Football in front of the whole country, and you probably won't get us this fired up maybe ever again unless our team literally fight each other at midfield.
I was ready to grave dance after that Eagles loss, but just didn't happen.
Thank God.
All right.
Anything else you got? Have you gotten all your grievances out? Can we woosah a little bit and get ready for week 2?
I'm going to say it one last time. Be the team you promised me you were going to be. Done.
Not one slam against Ronald fucking Darby. That's all I have. I'm done. My voice is gone. I'm exhausted. This is it.
We'll see you in week 2, Thursday. We're out.